Greetings, everyone. Hi, this is the Squares the Round Table podcast once again, and I'm Mike Boyle, and with me, as always, is Ivan Rivera.
Hey, how are you doing? Of course, the man next to me is...
I'm Jeff Stein, I think. I think I'm alive. Don't quote me, boys.
Okay.
Don't quote
me.
Condo association meetings are like the worst thing ever created.
And now, coming back from the live round of the World Condo Federation, Jeff Stein!
That thing was... It's not so much there was anything interesting, it was more like how boring it got. I'm like, God, how much longer is this going to go on?
How many different units are involved in this association?
Oh, that's a good question. There's 2 buildings worth, so, I mean, it's not a small amount.
Okay.
But is it worth anything? I mean, did you accomplish anything in this conference?
No.
I mean, was it all just total bullshit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sounds about right.
They call the meeting. They call a meeting to talk to us about making a move with with Comcast, who we have apparently under contract. And when you ask them the question, well, did you call Comcast to talk to them yet? Well, no, not yet. Okay. Did you talk to anybody? Did you talk to any other competitors to get possible other bids? No, not yet. Why are we having this conversation?
Oh my goodness, this is like, it's as worthless as tits on a bull.
That's not true. I think that would be worth a lot more, but that's just
I'm sorry, I mean, I can just see it now, the World Condo Federation, the property managers against the custodians in a dumpster match to the death,
Just remember, as we record this, an important event happened this day.
Okay.
Important event happened. It happened in 2004. This is the day. The important day.
Okay.
Down 4 members to 1. Average Joe's Gym defeated Globo Gym for the World Dodgeball Championship. Just
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
Yeah. I heard they're actually thinking about doing a second dodgeball movie now, I guess.
Well, Ben Stiller tried to go with the dramatic roles, and I think that's kind of fallen on his face. I mean, he did that one thing where he was jumping from picture to picture. I didn't even know what it was about. But it looked kind of weird, and I was like, all right. But
kind of like picture in picture.
I just know him I look at him, and I just see this guy from Zoolander. I mean, that's all I see. I see that actor.
He's just typecast and really doesn't fare well with other things.
He's a good comedic actor. He's
funny looking.
But what's bad about that is when you go ahead from role to role to role, and you don't get any differentiation no matter what role. It's kind of like Will Smith is Will Smith in every movie.
That used to be okay for a while. I think that the problem was he added his kid. That was the problem. That he picked some bad roles. He picked some really bad ones.
Yeah, he did. He made that movie, that space movie with him and his kid.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see the numbers for this Gotti movie with Travolta? Oh my God!
What
no one's going to see it.
What was he thinking?
No one's going to see it.
Nobody's going to see this piece of shit. No.
Well, that's one way to put it.
I mean, it's bad enough Travolta is still reeling from the last Hairspray movie he did and hasn't had a decent thing out in years.
Speaking of bad role decisions, that guy. Battlefield Earth, anyone?
What? Yeah, I paid to see that movie. In the initial theater release. I'm not proud of this moment, but I did.
Ivan, before we get into our movie news, let me just ask you, did you have a nice Father's Day?
I had a great Father's Day. I did.
Glad to hear it.
I stayed indoors for most of the weekend because of the fact that outside was hell, and I'm sorry, I don't do well in really high humidity situations. So
Yeah, but you don't do really well in really cold situations either.
Yeah, well, in this case, when you can go ahead and crack an egg on the sidewalk and then make a sunny side up, that's hot, man.
It was only like 92, but the humidity was really high, so that made it even worse. So.
And you know, up in the city here, we were in the triple digits with the heat index, and it was just, I mean, it was a real shit show. You know, I'm just like, oh my goodness. So what Julie and I did, you know, after, you know, I got out of the hospital and everything like that, was we went to get provisions, and we stayed in. We stayed in the whole weekend.
Provisions. See, the funny, I laugh about that just because when I think provisions, it's like, okay, here comes the monster snowstorm. Not the it's going to be 100 degrees outside.
Most people just say groceries, Ivan.
Well, okay. All right, maybe a little more dramatic than it needed to be. All right, so we went out and we made groceries.
Provisions.
Okay.
Provisions like eggs.
When you say provisions, I keep thinking, Natasha, we must get moose and squirrel.
So here it is. We got all of our groceries together. We got up in here.
Provisions.
And we binge-watched Arrested Development because I have all 4 seasons on DVD.
Although it was added to your provisions, the DVDs?
No, these were here. These were here at the house. They were loaned to me, and, you know, we've been, like, watching them, but on this weekend we decided to finish it off. And needless to say, for Ron Howard and the good of Arrested Development, which it was a good series, but the 4th season I don't believe should have happened, and the ending was just shitty, and I'm just like, you know what? This is a case of they should have left something. Some things are just better left alone.
I love your great analysis. That I think it summed it all up. It's shitty. Got it. Good to know.
Well, the first three seasons were great. I mean, they were right on. I mean, they were just fluid and it was good and funny. But that 4th season, man, that was just a turd drop. I mean, I don't know what possessed them to go back 5 years later into the lives of all the characters to try to give it closure. I think they should have, again, I think they just should have left well enough alone. I mean, so, yeah. So if you like Arrested Development, folks, seasons 1 through 3 is great. Season 4, if you want individualistic viewing on each and every character that made up season 4, yeah. I.e., grabbing at straws.
I'm going to admit something.
What?
I've never seen Arrested Development.
Well, believe it or not, like I mentioned before, first 3 seasons, yeah. I was all about it. Produced by Ron Howard. Okay, great characters, really stellar writing, ridiculously funny on every level. And but like I said, the 4th season, in my opinion, should have never happened. But don't take my word for it. You know, take it out on your own and come up with your own conclusions. That's just, you know, the conclusion of one, you know, person here. That's just me, you know. And that being said, I'm sure that once this podcast hits the airwaves, I'm sure there are going to be a myriad of people out there who are going to have lots to say over it. But, you know.
Yeah. Mike, have you watched Arrested Development? Is that a show you watch?
No.
Okay.
It was not my thing.
You know, I just never got around to it, and then it went, where did it go? Did it go to Netflix, or did it go to, no, it didn't go to Netflix. It went to, like, Hulu or something like that, which is the other reason I didn't get to it. I don't have Prime, I don't have Hulu at the moment, so, you know, I
don't even have any of that, man. I got free television. I got my old antenna, and I got 6 channels of MeTV, 6 channels of the U, another 3 channels of U2, another 5 channels of Channel 11, plus, let me see, I got Hero and Icons, Light, let's see, Grit, you know, Decades, which I like Decades. That's actually really very good, to be honest with you. 257-911, and that's pretty much my 32, 26. Yeah, I probably got as basic as television as it actually gets, you know.
As long as you get Telemundo.
You know, I even get Telemundo. I get several versions of Telemundo.
Mm. You know, I've always wondered, why is it that you can hit the button and it'll change everything into Spanish, but you can't hit the button on Telemundo and change everything to English?
I don't think it was engineered that way. I mean,
So,
it is a Spanish station, so, you know, I guess they don't give a shit.
it's the part I always laugh about, where it's like, you kind of sit there and you're like when you were a kid and you were like popping around, like, I mean, I'd pop around, I'd be looking at stuff, and it's like, okay, what the hell are they? Wait, what is going on that channel? It's like, what's with the girl and the chicken? I don't get it, or something. You know, is your
And why are they always crying? Why are they every episode on anything they have in the series that there's always somebody crying, or there's always somebody laying in a bed with some kind of disease, or they've gotten hurt or some kind of shit, and they're always crying?
I don't know. I can't answer that one. There was the one woman, I think her name was Sonia, who's the talk show host, and any time I passed by and she was on, she made Springer look like a joke. I mean, it's just kind of crazy. So
Yeah, didn't Springer just suddenly shut down his show?
I don't.
He moved his show to Connecticut because of the fact that he couldn't do much of what he does now on the show where he was originally. So yeah, he moved his show to another state.
I know he does the one. I don't know if it's still in production. He did the one show on the Game Show Network, that baggage show that's kind of like a dating show kind of thing. It's pretty raunchy.
Okay, yeah, he moved to the CW.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, it says here, I got this article. The Jerry Springer Show is closing up shop, maybe for good. It says multiple reports say the NBC Universal syndicated daytime talk show has stopped production as it repeats move to the CW in the fall.
Okay. Well, guess he's getting out of the game altogether. I guess, boob shots and fights on stage and everything, just gotten kind of gone out of vogue, I guess.
Well, no.
It's kind of like Maury Povich, How many people can we piss off with, pregnancy results and lie detector tests?
Ivan, you are the father.
No, I wasn't. I was not with that woman. I was not with that woman. I was with that woman's sister. And then she can't claim nothing to me because, see, look, I still have the wrapper to the condom. Okay? So she can't claim nothing on me. Nothing.
I still remember in college, we would watch Povich, and the one we always used to watch, and we'd tape it in advance if we knew that one was on, and then wait till we could get drinking later, and then we'd rack up bets, which is the transsexual or not a transsexual. And everybody in the room had to guess before we play. It's like the one would show up, we'd freeze it, everybody would kind of look, watch the thing, and then it was, okay, you got to make your choice. Yes or no, and God forbid you made the wrong choice. God forbid you got one.
I like the episodes where they would get the one girl who would claim that the person that they were with was the father, and they find out that he's not the father, and then she comes back and ends up coming back multiple times and find out that that's not the father. I mean, how much more dirtball can we get, right?
Yeah, there's two. With the pregnancy ones, there's two ways it goes. It's either she comes on 5 times and none of the guys are the father.
That's what I'm saying.
Or there's the guy who has the 20 women on stage. I didn't do anything, and all of them come up positive.
Okay. He ends up being the puto in this case.
It's not even that. It's like, when did you have time to work, you dick?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. He worked the dick. That's why they all ended up getting pregnant.
There you go. Wow.
Just a gigolo everywhere I go.
Yeah, really.
So, Jeff, how was your weekend?
I did not get out to free RPG day on Saturday. I got busy with some Toastmasters stuff, so I did not get a chance to do that on Saturday. But I did see a bunch of friends, so it was a good time.
Cool.
I did see the Cher show on Sunday.
Yeah, how was that?
I saw that on Facebook. How was that?
It was, so it's pre-Broadway. It's on its way out. It's on its way to Broadway. And, there were some things that I learned about Cher that I don't know that I was aware of.
Like what?
I knew you were going to ask me that question, and I'm waiting for the 5-minute dissertation on this. I was not aware of that she had sung background vocals on some major doo-wop songs in like the 60s. Like the Do Run Run was one of them. I can't remember what some of the other ones were, but I was a little surprised. And I will tell you, it ran a little bit long. The second half was a little bit boring at times. I liked the characterizations. They kind of, you'll get a kick out of this. They kind of like had 3 Chers. There was the Cher of like back when she was like a kid. Then there was the Cher of like kind of when she was like the bigot thing, and then there's the Cher like we kind of know now, like from like the 80s on. And
the one that's in Mamma Mia, here we go again.
Well, no, more like the one, starting somewhere around Moonstruck. Actually,
okay.
Moonstruck. But it was kind of like the Ghost of Christmas Past, Present, and Future, except it was Cher, and they'd all be talking to one another at times, which was kind of interesting. They did an entire number as an ode to Bob Mackie, which is kind of hysterical all by itself.
Okay.
The profanity flies on a regular basis because it's Cher.
Yeah.
Right.
It still needs work, and I'm sure it'll get it, but I think there's something there, and it could be a lot of fun. Especially at times you forget how big Cher's catalog of music is, so
yeah.
that helps too. It was funny because there were people when we were leaving who were like, I would have lost it if Cher was going to be here. Well, Cher's not going to be here. It's only like the first or second week of production before they go to Broadway. If you're going to see Cher, you would have either seen her the first night or the last night in Chicago, but odds are you probably may not see her until it gets to Broadway. So yeah, I think the coolest thing I ever saw for that, you'll get a kick out of this, Ivan. Sting had written a musical called The Last Ship, and he was getting it ready it's kind of a story of his life about working in the shipyards.
Right.
And Sting had brought it here to be worked on first. And I
remember that.
And I got tickets for the last day and as they're finishing up and they're doing the curtain call, out walks Sting and does like another 2 or 3, does a couple of songs for the show and does like 2, I can't remember if he did a couple other songs too, but that was cool.
Oh.
But yeah, that's when you get somebody like that. Although there is the exception, I think. Have I ever told you that story about the producers, Ivan or Mike? No, I haven't. So I went to go see the producers with my mom.
You're talking about the one with Mel Brooks, Mel Brooks producers.
I went to see the Mel Brooks producers when it came here before it went to Broadway, and it had Matthew Broderick and Nathan Lane. So there's that whole scene with. I should premise this first, which is so my mom and I. It was so packed we had to get separate seating. We weren't sitting together. So there's the part where they start doing the actual Springtime for Hitler show. The whole Springtime for Hitler, that whole thing. So I'm sitting there and I'm kind of laughing because I'm like, I wonder what they're going to do for the part where Mel Brooks is supposed to show up and do a line.
Right.
Well, lo and behold, on that evening, out pops Mel Brooks to do the actual line.
Right.
He had been in town overseeing, so every night he comes out to do it. So people are going nuts over it because, the people who realize who it is are going nuts because it's Mel Brooks.
Right.
Fast forward to after the show is over. I'm walking back with my mom, and she's talking about how wonderful it is. and how great it was. I said, yeah, it was really great that we get the Mel Brooks cameo. And she said, what Mel Brooks cameo? So I explained to her what it was, and she goes, oh, well, that explains a lot. I thought they were cheering for the Nazis.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Oh, no.
Fast forward. She comes up to me and she says to me, you know, I was talking to one of my girlfriends on the phone the next day, and I was telling her about that. And she thought the same thing, too, because she didn't catch it when she went. So there was a whole bunch of, like, North Shore Jewish ladies who think that people are anti-Semitic cheering the Nazis.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness, Jeff. Oh, my goodness.
Like I said, but those are the...
shit.
Like I said, Cher was good. It was very stylized. It was a lot of fun. There were some aspects I was surprised. They went real long on the front end, like the beginning of her and Sonny and Cher, and then
the character build.
Right. Well, okay, but it seemed like it went really long on that end and not nearly as much on the back end. Like there was a little bit of time spent on Greg Allman, but not much.
And that's because that was a very tiny aspect in her life with Greg Allman and the band they had, Black Rose on Casablanca. They only made the one album, so right. Yeah.
But the point being, like, supposedly they didn't spend a lot of time on, like, the Cher show time frame.
How was Sonny Bono treated?
I felt pretty well, considering the fact they didn't bring up the fact that Sonny Bono ran into a tree and died that way skiing. I always thought that was the funniest thing of all time in some regards. If you're going to go, that's one way I don't think I ever want to go.
Okay, in defense of Sonny Bono and how comedic and of course, not real high on the respect rating he has been in his life. I mean, Sonny Bono made Cher. Let's face it. Okay, just like Phil Spector made all those great group records and such. I mean, Sonny Bono actually found Cher. Cher was a runaway.
Right, they talk about that. They talk about.
Yeah, and it took her in, and just she became part of the whole Wrecking Crew Gold Star Studio structure. If there was a voice that was needed, that she was that voice. And then Sonny tried to exploit her with the whole thing, as a solo artist before they got involved with Harold Batiste. And that's when they started having all those records on Echo, right?
Yeah, I mean, Ivan, they do talk. I mean, they do treat him with a lot more respect, except for the parts where they talk about the fact that at one point she owned no percentage of any part of what she was doing with him at that time. In terms of any of that, the production was essentially 95. I can't remember the other 5. Oh, it was 5. She said they said in there 5% to lawyers and 95% to Sonny Bono, and
that was because Sonny Bono at the time was working for Art Rupi especially, who ripped off everybody. So he just learned these ripping off trends from Art Rupi, and he figured this was the way that you're supposed to do business up until he started producing Cher for Imperial, and then Imperial ripped Cher off too.
Well, it was funny because there were some things that kind of went passing that they didn't do much about. Like, it was funny, they mentioned Phil Spector, and I kind of was like, ugh, because of all the things that we know Phil Spector about now. But he was kind of mentioned in passing, but it wasn't really a big thing. Like I said, Bob Mackie, they did an entire... Bob Mackie actually had a lot more time on that than anybody on that.
Well, of course, if anybody who saw the Sonny and Cher show, who saw all the Bob Mackie fashions on that show, that's what was featured on that show. If you look at any of the old videotapes of those shows, when when the Sonny and Cher show back in like the early to mid 70s, because I was a regular watcher of the Sonny and Cher show. That was viewing in our house back in the day. And she would come out with all of these wonderful, wonderful costumes and clothes. It was just amazing, some of the stuff that she sported out there. So she made Bob Mackie a lot of money.
Yeah, it was a trend-setting TV show in the time.
Yes, it was. In many avenues, both in fashion, technical prowess. They experimented with a number of different things on that show.
And they showcased their own music, obviously.
Yeah, they showcased all their own music.
Sure.
And that being said, yeah, it was a trendsetter. That show was a trendsetter.
Well, it's funny because when you really stop and think about it, we talk a lot. It's funny. I mean, this is going to sound crazy. I mean, it's not like Cher gets totally overshadowed, but sometimes when you think about the tour de force of women in the music industry, you start looking at Madonna and Whitney and some of them, and at the same time, really in reality, Cher was the real trendsetter. Cher was doing all that stuff before any of them were.
Well, and you're absolutely right, Jeff. You're absolutely right. I mean, up until Cher did her groovy thing, most women, were okay. And I'm going to be honest with you, most women up until that point in music were almost to considered second tier, to the second position. I mean, and being the strong person that Cher was after, of course, after a number of things that happened in the marriage between Sonny and Cher was just like, fuck this, I'm not gonna let this marriage define me. I'm gonna find my own way, and she did just that. Then after getting off of television and started making movies and everything else, yeah, you're right. She was a force to be reckoned with way before Madonna and Whitney and Mariah and Tony and all the rest of them.
Okay, so who would you even throw in there in between? Because, I mean, you're talking, you start with Madonna, you're talking about mid-'80s, as we talked about. So who, really in reality, who are we thinking in the 70s? We're talking about...
Okay, we'll talk about the 70s. All right, you had your Helen Reddys, you had your Linda Ronstadts, you had your Bonnie Raitt, you had...
Yeah, but none of them were as iconic as... I mean... Well, Bonnie
none of them were as iconic as Cher was. Because, yeah, you go ahead and you listen to a lot of the singer-songwriters, female singer-songwriters, they were not featured prominently as Cher was.
Even that, Mike, even with Diana Ross, that's late 60s, isn't it? I mean,
disco.
No, Diana Ross... Yeah, basically her diva title came on the shoulders of Berry Gordy, okay, because it was Berry Gordy that basically broke the Supremes up and then told Diana Ross, who, of course, we all know the story about, Berry's children with Diana Ross while he was still married. That's another story, but the point of the matter is, yeah, Berry tried to make her iconic with movies like Lady Sings the Blues, and Mahogany, which, I have an interesting story about that. I'll tell you in a little bit. But she didn't attain the heights. Diana Ross would have loved to have had the heights that Cher had. And I think that was always, I think Cher was always a thorn in the side of Diana Ross. Because, yeah, Diana Ross, was diva, but then, of course, there were a lot of factors against her at that point. I mean, she was a Supreme, and she broke up the Supremes, and then she tried to strike out on her own, and her success wasn't as fluid as it was when she was with the Supremes. And then she tried to do movies, and she only made a few movies, which, unfortunately, for the much of it, you ask about Diana Ross's movies, very few people are going to remember.
Well, The Wiz, obviously, though. But The Wiz is big enough that really, in reality...
Well, The Wiz is because you had Michael Jackson in The Wiz. And Michael Jackson, let's face it, when you watch The Wiz and everything, I think Michael pretty much, like much of what he did during his life, he was the centerpiece of that whole type of a situation. He knew how to work a camera. He knew how to, do what it is that he did. in anything that he did. You know, here we go again with the Michael Jackson magic. Yeah, and she was, you know, yeah, they made her Dorothy, but was anybody really paying attention?
Well, I mean, at that time, I think people were.
Yeah, but
she also did A Star Is Born.
Pardon me?
Wasn't that A Star Is Born?
A Star Is Born?
Wasn't that Ross?
No, Star Is Born. No, Star Is Born.
Streisand.
That's,
Streisand. I'm sorry.
Streisand.
Never mind.
Yeah, I guess.
And then
now that you mentioned Streisand, technically would be 70s. I mean, that's iconic.
Yep.
But it's different. It's not really rock. She's
but see, Streisand was iconic in a different way.
Right.
In a contemporary music, yeah.
Right, because you know she was able to walk into any genre of music. I mean, she did Pride to Stoney N when Laura Nyro wrote it, and she made that a huge hit for her.
And it wasn't until the 90s where she became Mecha Streisand.
Yeah, that's what exactly. But it took her close to 40 years
Barbra Streisand
before she even got down to that.
Although Robert Smith of The Cure will be along soon.
And I'll Rochambeau you for it, Mike.
Right.
That is the greatest episode of all time.
Yeah.
After they won the court case, they did Spooky Vision with her face on as a border for the entire episode.
Yeah. I have missed so much of South Park.
So Ivan, basically what we're talking about is South Park.
Okay. So there was a segue from Streisand into South Park.
It was either season 1 or season 2. It was one of the earlier episodes where they made fun of Barbra Streisand the whole episode.
What season is that? Hold on.
Mecha Streisand.
I gotta be honest with you. After the movie, I didn't watch.
Really? Oh, you've been out of that far.
I haven't watched another episode really since after the movie. Okay, no, it is a season 1.
Yeah, it was season 1. It was early. Really early on.
Episode 12.
Wow.
19. Wow. I got news for you. Oh my God, really? Was the 20-year anniversary of Mecha Streisand in February?
Wow.
Shit.
Yeah. Wait, and of course, here's the part I think we were aware of this. Robert Smith from The Cure does play himself.
Yes.
Here, let me read the Wikipedia.
As well as Leonard Maltin.
Does he? Wait, hold on. It doesn't say anything about Leonard. Hold on.
Yeah.
And then didn't Primus do the theme?
Yep.
Yeah, but we're talking about this specific episode, though, Ivan.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. So the basics of it is here. I'll read the plot real fast from this Wikipedia. During a field trip to an archaeological dig, Cartman discovers a mysterious stone triangle, which he promptly throws away without interest. Shortly afterward, Kyle picks it up, and the guide identifies the writing on the triangle as Anasazi. Kyle appears on television to discuss the find, resulting in a jealous Cartman wanting the triangle back. Cartman constantly pesters Kyle until he returns the triangle to him. Meanwhile, Leonard Maltin comes to South Park and asks Chef, has he seen Barbra Streisand? Maltin, having seen Kyle in the triangle on television, tells Chef the boys are in great danger. Streisand herself finds the boys at the bus stop and demands the Triangle of Zinthar, and gets aggravated when they reject her. As they search for Streisand, Matlin tells Chef he's seeking the boys' triangle to complete the powerful and ancient relic, the
Diamond of Pantheos,
which will allow her to become an evil and dangerous creature capable of conquering the world. He explains the diamond was originally split into 2 pieces and hit at different points of the world, but Streisand has managed to find the first 2. Streisand later dons the disguise and visits the boys again, offering them a monetary reward for the triangle. Stan and Kyle are suspicious, but Cartman insists they go along for the money. Streisand takes them to her condo, where she ties the boys up, tortures them with her singing voice. Cartman relents and gives up the triangle. Streisand uses the triangle to complete the diamond and transforming herself into a giant mechanized dinosaur version of herself, the Mecha Streisand, and begins to lay waste to South Park with her new form. Matlin and Chef arrive to free the boys. Matlin asks Chef to call Robert Smith of The Cure for help. Matlin then transforms into a giant robot to battle Mecha Streisand, but is quickly defeated. The boys evade fiery debris from the fight, but Kenny is killed when he stops to play tetherball and gets strangled by the rope. actor Sidney Poitier arrives and turns into a
That's
giant
right, Sidney
turtle
Poitier.
to fight the Mecha Streisand, but he too is easily defeated. After getting a call from the Boysen chef, Robert Smith arrives and transforms into a giant moth creature. During the ensuing battle, Smith Moth manages to punch the Diamond of Pantheos away from the Mecha Streisand before flinging her into outer space, where she explodes and dies. The townspeople, including Jesus, joyfully praise Smith as a hero. As he walks off into the sunset, Kyle calls out, "Disintegration is the best album ever." The boys split the diamond again to prevent anyone from trying to get its power and throw the pieces in the trash. However, Kyle's little brother Ike finds the pieces of the diamond in the trash, resulting in the episode ending with the boys carrying the new presence of a new foe, Mecha Ike.
Okay.
Wow.
Yep. Those Splendors, that is South Park. It needs to come back.
It's still around. It's just they only do like 10 episodes a year.
Oh, really? They just kind of add on, they just kind of heap on to what's already out there, huh?
Yeah, they've still got the finger on the pulse of like popular culture and what's going on in today's society. And as far as I know, yeah, they're still doing episodes.
I believe they're still going. Here, by the way, here's a quote from Streisand on it. "I wasn't even aware of this show until I read Time magazine, that they had used me in a very negative way. Let me say I enjoy sarcasm, satire, and parody, and I love the movie In and Out. It made me laugh, but it wasn't mean-spirited. But I wonder if shows like South Park and Beavis and Butthead don't add to the cynicism and negativity in our culture, especially children. These youngsters are formulating their attitudes and maybe come away feeling that any woman who dares to accomplish something is an incarnation of a self-centeredness greed. And that would be very unfortunate, especially for young girls." That's where the spooky fish thing came up with the heads that I was mentioning in season 2. Anyway, like I said, so now that we've
my favorite episode from South Park still has to be Fish Sticks.
Yep. Kanye and fish sticks.
Gay fish.
That was a good one.
If I'm going to go that route,
Favorite South Park episode?
I would probably... Well, I saw the original one. I saw the original one before it ever became South Park. The short, the 5-minute short, the Santa Claus versus Jesus.
Yeah, that really old one, yeah.
Yeah, the really old one it was based on. I mean, that was funny. I mean, that was really, really funny.
I like Russell Crowe's Fighting Around the World. I like that one.
Let me see. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but what didn't Korn appear in?
Yes, the Scooby-Doo episode with Korn. Oh my God, that was fantastic.
Yes. Nibble it. That one cracked me up. That cracked me up.
That was a good one.
That was a good one. That was a real good one.
Yeah. One they did where they were playing Warcraft.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
There's the episode where they play Warcraft.
Yeah.
And then what's the other one? What's the one where every 5 minutes, I can't remember the guy's name, the one character where every 5 seconds he's always yelling out, "Simpsons did it."
Yeah,
and
that was Simpsons.
That was a knock on.
Might have been Craig or one of the third tier characters.
Yeah.
Then there was one where Stan's dad buys a Blockbuster, and it's another Halloween episode when it becomes The Shining. He's walking around in the empty video store like Nicholson in The Shining.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Let's see.
There were so many good ones. We could go on for.
Yeah, we could go on for a long time. Our favorite South Park episodes. Now, wasn't there one where Cartman was dressed as a wizard and they were going after they went on some kind of a crusade of some sort for something? I'm trying to remember this.
Was that the Lord of the Rings one?
That's the one, yeah. That's it.
They were playing Lord of the Rings and they had to return the copy of Lord of the Rings to the video store. But it wasn't Lord of the Rings. It was a high-production porn version of Lord of the Rings. That they got the videotapes mixed up.
Nice.
So, that's so good.
So, Mike, what did you do over the weekend? I'm assuming you saw Incredibles 2.
Yes, I did. I saw The Incredibles 2, and Saturday worked my ass off. And then Sunday, I went to Brick World. Brick World was awesome. I had a great time.
Brick World is what again for those?
That's the big Lego convention. It was at the Schaumburg Convention Center. It was Saturday and Sunday. I just had to go Sunday. But I went with my friend and his family, and families all over, people from all over the country. Some people, I think, from Europe had gone. It's just a big deal. It was great. It was fun seeing all the extra creations. Like they did. Speaking of old comedies, somebody had made a Lego representation of the city of Rock Ridge from Blazing Saddles.
Oh my goodness! Wow,
that was pretty cool.
It's amazing.
And even they had the side set with the musical number directed by Dom DeLuise on the side, and the wall was broken, and they were fighting through it. Put out your hand, stick out your tush, give him a push. And they had that on the side there, that little set there, all made with the little Lego minifigures. Yeah, it was great. So it was fun. I had a good time. I got a couple of got a little Superman minifig to go with all my Legos. I got the Benny's spaceship over here next to my desk, and I have a couple of Lego Batman sets too that I got were apart from the movie, but I want a little Lego Superman, so I got a little Superman. So it was cool. I had a good time. And
can you do the Lego Batman voice? Because as people are not aware, may or may not be aware, Mike Boyle is the master of the voice, and he can do
vocal master. Voice man.
Lego man. Not Zach the Lego Maniac, though, but...
No, the Lego Batman guy. I am talking like...
Yeah, Will Arnett. Yeah, he was great. He'll be in the Lego movie, too, but... Lobster Thermidor, my favorite. All right.
That's what I'm talking about.
I only build bricks in black. I only use black bricks, or sometimes very, very, very dark gray.
Oh my gosh! I got to see Incredibles 2.
Yeah, we'll talk. Got Incredibles 2 in the crosshairs. It's coming right up. We're going to talk about that right straight away after these messages. Right? We have sponsors? No, we don't have sponsors.
That explains why we don't get paid.
Well, we're back.
Here we go.
Getting paid to do this would be cool. I suppose we could set up a Patreon, and anyway, someone to give us like $1 a month.
Set up a GoFundMe page.
GoFundMe page.
We'll get paid in tumbleweed.
That's right.
Who said weed? He's talking about weed.
No, not weed. So yeah, I went Friday night with my friends to see Incredibles 2, and I'm going to say it right off the top. It's probably the best movie of the year.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I concur.
And he even had like a little short right before the movie started. They had Holly Hunter, Craig T. Nelson, Brad Bird, and Sam Jackson all saying, "We know you waited, but we hope you like it. I think it's worth the wait." And yeah, I think it was. It was really good.
Did you get a Pixar short in your presentation?
Oh yes, the Pixar show. Oh my God, all the feels. Oh,
was that good or was that good?
That was wow. That's like right up there with like the first 10 minutes of Up.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was amazing. That short.
So did you see a regular screen, 3D, IMAX? How'd you see it?
Nope, standard. I don't do 3D or IMAX or any of that. I go to the regular screen.
Well, I got lucky because Zespy and I have been waiting to go see this movie for months.
Yeah.
Because we got into a long conversation about the original Incredibles.
Yeah.
And it was just like, we got to go see Incredibles 2, and it was like months away. Well, the day came today, and originally we were going to just see it on the regular screen. But what happened was we ordered our food. And the food took a while to get, and so 15 minutes of the presentation that we were going to do with the 1:30 show was already, well, like I said, 15 minutes in. So Zespy he upgraded our ticket, and we ended up seeing it in IMAX, and it blew my mind.
Did you see it on Friday or Saturday?
I saw it today.
Oh, today? Okay. Now, were there a lot of kids in the theater?
When we saw it, it was maybe at top end, maybe 15 people.
Oh, okay, so it was pretty well for Monday night. Mondays aren't very popular for movie nights, but I tell you, our theater wasn't full, but it was a lot of adults, a few kids, but there were a lot of grown-ups.
Yes, you're right. Film. There were a lot of grown-ups. Yep.
Yeah. Also, I guess we're going to have to say, yeah, there will be spoilers for Incredibles 2, so if you want to avoid that, maybe fast forward maybe about 15 minutes or so.
Right,
here.
right
so,
now.
So, yeah, okay. I say 5 out of 5 yeah-mans.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed Infinity War, but this was just a really good movie, a great story, an action comedy, all the feels, and great character action, and yeah, it was great and animated very, very, very well.
I just love the textures and the colors and just the way it just flowed. You didn't feel like you were there, for an over 2-hour movie.
It was just under. It was like 1:58. I checked the running time, so it was just under 2 hours. But it felt, it was great.
Everything just flowed about it, and the fact that they made Elastigirl the centerpiece of the movie.
It made sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just because of the Me Too movement, but it was because most of the first movie was about Bob.
Mr. Incredible, right.
Yeah. So this one was about her, and it made sense.
And and the fact that, Mr. Incredible, now is being the, stay-at-home dad, take care of the kids. Now you know how it feels to be at home. Now you know what mom does all day. Type of thing, because of the fact of the time frame for which that movie is made in, which was atypical of how households were back then. And also too, the fact that the house that they ended up getting didn't it vaguely kind of remind you of Spider-Man, the guy Tony.
Spider-Man guy is not Tony.
Tony Stark.
Yes, Iron Man.
Oh, that's right. Okay, Iron Man. Yeah. Well, didn't it kind of vaguely remind you of Tony Stark's place?
A little bit, yeah, from the first 2 Iron Mans, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, do you think that maybe that was kind of an Easter egg?
No.
For that?
I think it was just a swank mansion that they were living in.
I mean, what a mansion it was, man. I mean, just like I said, the whole design model for the movie.
Just the whole style of the movie. It had that, and even like they even said, what they even said. They didn't even say it. They just showed it. Yeah, it's pretty much like Johnny Quest. They had it on the TV. Yeah.
And did you happen to notice that there's a frame in the movie where Elastigirl is going around town and you see the big word Quest on one of the buildings?
No. Okay.
But it goes out on DVD. Check it out. Johnny Quest things. I guess somebody in the Pixar universe had a thing for Johnny Quest because, there were certain things about it that were featured in the movie, and not to mention the fact that the production values as far as like the characters themselves. I mean, the texture of the costumes and everything about it. It just gets better every time. Pixar just keeps upping the ante on everything that they do. So, okay, question: Elastigirl's costume. Did you like the silver costume more, or did you still like her original red costume?
It was fine, and it was just they changed it. They wanted to, not have the Incredibles, but the whole stigma that goes over we can't be the Incredibles. You have to. We focus on you, and here's your new costume. Okay.
Yeah. I thought the silver costume was a good look.
I had no opinion of the choice for a costume, and of course, speaking of costumes, we had Of course, we saw Edna.
Yeah.
Every frame Edna's in it is magic.
Yeah. It's a terrific character.
Yeah.
It stands on its own. I mean, I think Edna, needs to be more prominent in some ways, but yeah.
Less is more. I got to go with the less is more approach.
Yeah, go less is more. I'm not saying she should be all through it. No, yeah. I just need just a little bit more of her.
I think she was in it more in the first one.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking. Because because she went through the demonstration with all the costumes and everything, and then they focused on Jack, which of all the 17 powers that he ended up having, and everything.
So she built a suit to help control them. I thought it was cool.
I like the lavender foam when he goes on fire. That's actually edible.
Yeah. And the whole fight with the squirrel, that was fantastic.
You with the coon, with the raccoon.
Yeah. Yes.
You know,
I guess the only headline.
Must not fire the baby. Must not fire the baby. Everybody's like taking Jack in their hands and firing him off like a laser.
Yeah, laser eyes, pew pew. Yeah. I guess this was because of some of the scenes with the screenslaver. I guess this movie is not for people who are with epilepsy.
Well, yeah, because of the fact that they got that
strobe effect. Even I had to look away when they had that fight in that one room. You know what I'm talking about. Even I had to look away. That was a little disorienting.
Well, you notice that in that frame when they were fighting in that cube, it seemed a little bit more like animation than Pixar for a little bit. With what they were doing, I don't know if that was a design situation or they meant for that to happen. But in that sequence, it seemed a lot more animated, almost like hand drawn and painted animation than Pixar animation. Or maybe it was because of the fact that they had the strobes going on and it gave it a feel of that kind of texture in that particular frame. But yeah, you're right about it though. As far as like the strobing effects, the strobing effects can make you crazy if that's not your thing, you know.
And seeing it on an IMAX screen or in 3D, that can mess you up.
I'm sure.
But it was good though. I liked the whole villain arc.
Yeah,
and I liked the whole thing.
Underminer. Underminer was great.
Well, it was just he got away, but I wanted to hope.
Yeah, he got away.
Well, that added to the narrative. That added to the story of why they still had to go into hiding, and they shut the operation down, and the one agent guy he had forced into retirement. So, what they did with the Violin's boyfriend.
I liked it. Yeah, it was like a page out of Men in Black, you know, but except with a little dart at his head.
Right.
When it take away his memories, he ended up wiping out all the memories and forgot that Violet and him had a date.
Yeah. So he goes to the restaurant, and that was a great scene. Yeah, it was great. Great family moments. I think couple of parts, maybe just a minor nitpick that this movie got a little talky at times, and I can see why the kids might kind of wrestle in their seats a little bit through a couple of the scenes. Well, but it was still a very good story, and it had some great action. But I'd say it's just as good as the first one, and I'm looking forward to watching it on DVD.
Oh yeah, well I know that's going to be a DVD in my collection.
Absolutely.
So that's already a given. It'll be right next to my Incredibles 1. And
I meant to watch that before Incredibles 2, but I didn't have time.
Oh
my God! All you had to do is turn on.
I'm sure that one of the Disney channels was running it.
Well, here's the thing, though, you know, because in the theater that I was at, they were going to actually show number 1 after number 2, but I figured I've seen number 1 already, so I didn't stick around for watching number 1 on the IMAX screen again. You know, it's like I could see number 1 already.
That'd be a great double feature at the drive-in.
There you go. Yeah. And I mean, would you imagine that? But you imagine that in the theater if they ran 1 first, then 2?
Yeah,
I still think Syndrome was a better villain in Incredibles 1.
Well, yeah.
I like Jason Lee as Syndrome, or Billy.
Yeah.
Or Buddy.
He was great. Buddy.
But this villain was good. Not to give away the big spoiler, but this was a serviceable villain.
And the thing is, it was the least person you would have expected to be the villain. So we'll leave it there.
So hold on, let me ask you a question. As somebody who has not seen the movie yet, okay, would you pay evening prices to go see it?
Yes.
Yes. Let me ask this question. This has been the one question because I've seen a million trailers online and a million commercials online too. How much time is spent with the Jack thing?
Lots.
Over the top.
No, I think they balanced everything out with Jack Jack. I think they gave Jack Jack ample screen time without overdoing it or underdoing it.
Yeah, this was written and directed by Brad Bird. This
right,
was all hands on him, and he had 14 years to craft this story, and I think he did a great job.
Right?
What?
You know that's who Edna is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the voice of Edna, Brad Bird, yeah.
But,
Never look back, darling. It distracts from the now.
I haven't seen it yet. I am thinking about, now that I've finally got my AMC Stubs thing, I'm thinking pick a Tuesday night and go see it. So
absolutely.
$5, sure, why not?
We should make that an us night. All three of us would go.
Yeah, we could figure something out. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, I got something funny.
What's that?
You'll enjoy this. Apparently, this came out here in the last little bit. Marvel is not sending anybody for the Marvel movies to Comic-Con. Here's the headline. Marvel movies are skipping Comic-Con, but something just as good will be there instead. This is from the AV News site, the AV Club site. Except, I find it kind of hysterical with this has got to be a joke. Because while they're talking about that Marvel's movie studio won't be there to talk about anything, apparently, don't worry, superhero fans, because they're there to talk about the new Iron Fist show for Netflix.
And it kind of confirmed that the Netflix Marvel stuff is not tied into the cinematic universe.
Right. Well, no, but you're missing the point.
I know you hated Iron Fist.
I would have rather that they not showed up at all than talk about Iron Fist, because that show was the worst thing I've ever seen in a long time.
We know, Jeff.
We know.
That thing is so bad.
Yeah.
Just so bad. What else?
It doesn't deserve air.
No, it really doesn't. It doesn't. It really doesn't. Did you see the new images of it? I guess the new Wonder Woman's going to be set in the 80s.
84, yep. Looks great.
I'm looking at the picture of the costume that Gal Gadot's in. This really does look very much like the 80s design.
The Linda Carter?
No.
Linda Carter was 77.
Design where it has the W. It looks really comic book 80s.
Yeah, very vibrant.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, it looks great.
It really looks like an 80s version of the costume, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
I am curious to see what they're going to do with this, but let's see what else. Trying to think of what else do we got? Oh, Mike, did you catch any of the stuff that's kind of come out about Star Wars recently, about what George Lucas's plans were supposedly for 7 through 9?
Yeah, what he would have done with episodes 7 through 9. It's like,
this has got to be a joke.
Yeah.
This can't be real. He really would not have done this.
George has not come out and disavowed any of this, so.
Well, but the next
not that he has to. He's sitting pretty with his $4.05 billion.
Yeah, but apparently, just so people are aware, apparently he was going to make the last 3 movies in a microbiotic world where the midichlorians are, and based it all around the midichlorian universe and how and within the Force itself. And I'm just like sitting here going, wow. How existential? No. I don't know. It just doesn't. The other thing is, I guess they're talking about Lando. They're talking about Lando now for episode 9. That they're going to bring back Billy D.
Wow. Okay.
Supposedly. So.
Yeah, I saw him at Gen Con in 2001 in person, and man, even then he was looking pretty old.
Did he have a Colt 45? Because he better.
He did not.
He did not have a Colt 45.
Did not. But I can confirm that the Star Wars Monopoly game has Lando where you on a community chest or whatever, where it's a card with Lando on it and says earn $45.
Nice.
I can confirm this.
Mm.
Yep, malt liquor. Yep.
Yeah, I know.
Melody.
Yeah,
Guy's got to make his money somewhere.
Yeah, but he needs money for his oxygen tank.
Wow. He's Billy D. Cut him
Ivan.
back.
What trailers caught your eye before Incredibles 2?
What trailers caught my eye before Incredibles 2?
Yeah.
Actually, they didn't riddle my showing with trailers. To be honest with you.
Well.
Oh wait.
Oh,
No,
wait,
I take that back. There was one. Okay, and I think was it Venom?
They showed the Venom trailer in front of this? Venom's
Yeah.
R-rated.
Yeah, they did.
What?
Yep.
You're kidding.
Get out of here, really?
Yeah. They showed the Venom trailer. Yeah, they sure did.
Now, was Incredibles 2, is that PG?
It's PG.
Okay. Not G. I think a G
No,
rating is like the
PG.
kiss of death now in Hollywood.
What
Because there were
else
some
did-
action and a little bit of peril. So
Let me see. Then what? Okay. Then wait a minute. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it's because I wasn't paying attention. Hold on.
okay. Well, anyway, I was paying attention to mine, and the one trailer that stuck out best with me was the Illumination, the same studio that made Despicable Me, is doing The Grinch with Benedict Cumberbatch as the voice of the Grinch.
Yeah.
That looks good.
Okay. I remember now. There was DreamWorks. The number 3, How to Train Your Dragon.
Yawn.
You know, which okay.
I like the first one. The second one was just meh for me, so I don't know.
Well, you know, the third one.
At least they say they're concluding the story.
Yeah, basically they're capping it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
You know,
Don't make it like Shrek.
Oh yeah, okay. Let's not even talk about Shrek then.
Yeah. The other one was, of course, Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Oh, Rex the Internet?
Yeah. Breaks the Internet.
Breaks
Wreck
the
It
Internet.
would be good. Wreck It, his where he even said, like, it doesn't wreck the Internet sounds better? And it's like, well, you're not wrong.
So Ralph wrecks the Internet.
Just remember, the kitty gets the milkshake, the bunny gets the pancake.
That's right.
So here's
And we
my
did see
thought.
the Bumblebee trailer on screen, and my friend Bill was all like, "Oh man, I can't wait for that Starscream figure."
No, they didn't show that. They didn't show that by me. No.
Incredibles 2, I say best film of the year.
So
No.
here's my thought. Now, with the Underminer getting away, do you think they left it open for a 3?
Maybe.
Well, they'll probably do a 3 at some point, but I just don't know how fast they're going to... I mean, the funny part is you guys referenced Johnny Quest, but really in reality, I'm sure there are Fantastic Four fans out there going,
Yep.
hey, look, they finally made a real Fantastic Four movie.
That's right.
Which, by the way, if you haven't figured out, the Underminer, Mole Man.
Yeah, Mole Man from issue 1
Mole
of the
Man,
Fantastic
without
Four.
question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brad Bird even pretty much admits it.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that's funny, because it's like Pixar is so busy with their own stuff. The irony is that you haven't seen, and I always thought this would happen, that like Pixar would get a chance to get their hands on stuff like Star Wars or some of the Marvel stuff to be able to do something unique and different.
Well,
I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening because, you know, Pixar...
Disney's got their own
Is it-
studios now. They're doing their own thing.
Yeah, it's very... It's their own enigma.
Yeah.
You know, they do their own thing. They kind of follow their own... You know, they follow the beat of a different drummer from everybody else.
Well, it seems like Ivan, like all of them are separated out too.
Yeah.
Like Pixar is its own animal.
And Disney Studios is doing its own thing.
Right. They're all
Yeah.
they're almost their own entities.
Yep.
Because it's funny, I was talking to somebody the other day because I said to them, I'm like, all right, so great. So Solo didn't do well, but Black Panther absolutely killed it at the box office.
Solo went so low.
So why? So what's the big deal? And the thing is, you're right. In the long run, Disney stock at least still is fine because, and the numbers are good because of that. But at the same time, they don't look at them all separate. They look at them all separately, which is, I get it. At the same time, I'm kind of like, but
yeah, it's not the same crew doing the same thing. There are people in other departments and other companies doing these things.
Right.
Right.
It's going to look good on Marvel, but not good for like A Wrinkle in Time.
Yeah.
Or other people who are working on that.
I had forgotten Wrinkle in Time was one of theirs. Somebody pointed that out to me. I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's why you forgot about it.
Yeah. Somewhere Oprah's wishing she didn't do that project, but we won't get into that. That's when you bomb and you got Oprah, you got problems. Yeah, that's not good.
Well,
One last
because
thing.
there was a time in Disney's history where they were making some real subpar product. For the longest while, I think before the 80s, there was like a period between 72 and 79 where their product was kind of like,
What
a lot
came
of
out
people,
between
a lot of people, if you were doing a Disney product, they were calling the Disney studio the studio of last resort for a long time.
Well, keep in mind though too, Ivan, they had a problem where they got pigeonholed, which is they got pigeonholed into Disney was this family fare, this good wholesome family fare stuff. And so, okay, if Disney wanted to put a Best Picture movie together, you couldn't put Disney's name on it because they would get off. Because everybody.
Well, that's why they created Tombstone.
No, they didn't create Tombstone. They created
Touchstone.
Tombstone's the pizza.
And then Miramax too.
Miramax pizza.
Miramax is another thing that Disney created too. But yeah, I mean that's basically how they got themselves out of that mess is between Touchstone.
Yeah, because Who Framed Roger Rabbit would have never gelled under the Walt Disney banner. That's why it went under the Touchstone banner.
Today it would. That's the irony. Today it would. That's the crazy part.
Well, things change.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see what else. Anything else fun that we can mention real fast?
I've got a funny story.
Go for it.
Okay. Well, we're talking about the heat. Here's a nice cold story for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Apparently, the garbage is piling up at Mount Everest. Decades of commercial mountaineering have turned Mount Everest into the world's highest rubbish dump as an increasing number of big-spending climbers pay little attention to the ugly footprint they leave behind. Tents, discarded climbing equipment, empty gas canisters, and even human excrement litter the well-trodden route to the summit of Mount Everest.
I shit on Mount Everest!
As the number of climbers on the mountain have soared, at least 600 people have scaled the world's highest peak so far this year alone. The problem has worsened. Efforts have been made, though, because 5 years ago, the nation of Nepal implemented a $4,000 rubbish deposit per team that would be refunded if each climber brought down at least 8 kilograms, which is about 18 pounds, of waste. And, of course, on the Tibetan side of the Himalayan mountain, they are required to bring down the same amount, and they are fined $100 per kilogram if they don't. But climbers, when they pay like $20,000 up to $100,000 to climb Mount Everest, just to say, look at me, I did it. And they don't give a crap about $4,000 deposit. So they're not doing it. There's just not enough monitoring at the high camps to ensure the mountain stays clean, says this one guy who is a Sherpa. A Sherpa is like a porter or a carrying guy or whatever. And then also that the environmental issue.
Kind of like the lonely piss boy.
I want to know what whatever is. Can we create a whatever? Never mind. Keep going.
What?
You said whatever. I want to know what whatever is. Could it be a dragon? I like dragons. Just
on the mountain?
I like dragons.
Dragons is good.
Dragons are cool.
As long as he's voiced by Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Why?
because he's the best at it. I mean, you watch the video with him in that rotoscoping suit, man. He owns that shit.
Oh no, man! You gotta have James Earl Jones.
Or what was that one movie with?
What about Samuel Jackson?
What was that one movie with Sean Connery as the voice of the dragon and Dennis Quaid?
Oh yeah, Dragonheart.
I am the last one.
I'm the last one.
I'm Sean Connery. I'm a dragon.
Wow.
Getting back to Mount Everest.
It would be even better. How about
Mount Everest is turning into a shithole because people are leaving their stuff behind, and people die up there still. And people can't bring their bodies down. Well, more people are going to do this now, just because they got the money and the means. They're just doing it as
they're
like a
spending
field
money
trip
to go die up on Mount Everest.
There are worse places.
So.
This is true.
I just have a question.
Wasn't there a scene in the Bucket List with Jack Nicholson in that where old boy ended up taking his remains up to the mountain?
Does that count as the refuse fee, by the way, if you die?
Where people are just dying. Yes, a refuge fee. Hey, for $4,000, I want to dump this body.
You know, I am now convinced that I really want to hear Samuel L. Jackson as a dragon. Yeah, I'm a dragon, goddammit. Now get the hell out of my way. Right. I'll burn fire on your ass.
I'm going to burn you up.
Yeah. Bitch. Yeah. There we go. And use the force. May the force be with you. Whatever.
Okay.
He's too valuable to be kept alive. Or he's too dangerous or whatever. He's too dangerous to be kept alive.
or you know, we need Patrick Stewart to be the dragon. I'm the voice of the dragon. Oh, he's
done some. I think some other voice stuff too. I think he was like the villain, like this anime. I remember watching this one day. It was on cable. It was an animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
Oh God!
And Patrick Stewart was the voice of one of the villain. I was like, no, you're just Patrick Stewart.
Did he say engage? That's all that matters.
No, he did not.
No.
Although Leonard Nimoy.
Jimmy Stewart being a dragon?
What?
Can you imagine Jimmy Stewart being a dragon?
No, he's dead.
He could have been reincarnated as a dragon.
He could have been a dragon, I guess, maybe.
Well, I wanted to see if what he would have sounded like if he were a dragon.
He sounded like, hey, I'm Jimmy Stewart. I'm a dragon. I'm like, no, you're not. You're Jimmy Stewart. Or some people shouldn't. Celebrity voice syndrome. We talked about this in the 90s when animation was catching up and it was just quote unquote cool for A-list celebrities to do voices in movies where it just distracts from the narrative of the film. Where Incredibles 2 is the exception because it's good acting. Of course, Sam Jackson is Sam Jackson, but
because when you listen to the voices in Incredibles 2 and the voice actors in Incredible 2, which were the same voices that they were from number 1. Yeah. There was no deviation. There was a continuity there, and they had just the right amount of voices to make it work. Where you get this oversaturation of voices, and you're just kind of like, okay, did we really need it to sound like this cat, or do we really need it to sound like that cat? You know, I mean, really. Sometimes, you just like you say, less is more, right?
Well, no, just the point being is that the celebrities who want to do this stuff because they want to bring top billing to the movie and not just contribute to just making a good story and having the right actors. They want to have celebrity names up on that billboard saying, this is the guy, the voice of the one thing. It's like this. I heard this one interview with Bruce Willis about this movie he did called Over the Hedge, where he's this voice of this raccoon.
I remember that movie.
Yeah, he was the voice of the raccoon, and he interviewed him saying, "Oh, they made me say this one line like 6 times. Oh, it was a drag." I'm like, "Oh my god."
Really?
But anyway, it was just the point where you want to have talented people conveying a good story.
But Mike, a lot of
voice acting, yes, is a lot of work.
Yeah.
No, but hold on, guys. A lot of this, keep in mind, a lot of these people got kids, and so they want. It's like it's something where you can do it, and you can say to your kids, "See, I did this," I mean, I know that that's a lot of these guys where sometimes that's a factor in this where it's like, you see it in interviews all over the place where it's like,
well, they just want to be immortalized in the film for, the kids and stuff. Yeah, see, that's what I did one day, or that was the voice of that character, or whatever. But then you do have voice actors that are very committed. Back to Incredibles 2, where they did a good job and and they believed in what it is that they were doing.
Yeah, one movie comes to mind as far as voice acting in film. One is overlooked a lot is Megamind. It was one of Will Ferrell's best performances, I think, was in Megamind.
Oh, yeah, I have to agree.
And who was what's the name of that one guy who turned out to be the cameraman who kind of became the villain? Who was that guy's name? Josh? But anyway, he was good in it too. But like I said, my point being is that you can have good actors, but sometimes don't get good actors to do voice work because sometimes it doesn't translate.
Mega Man, we had Will Ferrell, Tina Fey.
Megamind. Not Mega Man. That's a video game.
Fine. I have Megamind up. I'm just thinking of a different thing.
Yeah.
Megamind is Will Ferrell, Tina Fey, Jonah Hill.
That's it.
David Cross and Brad Pitt.
Yeah, Brad Pitt had only a couple lines in it.
Yeah, well,
but that was still.
I think they just used him for star power.
Well,
it's kind of like what he did in Deadpool recently.
Yeah.
Right.
He did the spot where he was the invisible guy, and he did it because the kids wanted to see him. And he did it for scale because he wanted his kids to know he was in a Deadpool movie.
Just want to say that he was in Deadpool.
Yeah.
Sort of like the celebrity cameos in the old 66 Batman. You just wanted to be on it just to say, because it was the hip, cool thing to do.
Oh, did you see that?
Back in that time, a lot of these actors that were on Batman in the 66 series, they were just, a lot of them were like in between gigs. I mean, up until that point, Frank Gorshin as the Riddler.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, he was doing Vegas. He was doing Ed Sullivan. He was doing all kinds of other stuff like that.
But I was talking about all the celebrity cameos, like when Batman and Robin would climb the side of the building and they'd slowly talk to Sammy Davis Jr.
We're not necessarily talking about the villains. Okay. Yeah. But I like the one where Sammy Davis Jr. came out of the window.
Speaking of Batman 66, I don't know if people saw this or not. Archie Comics is setting up, I guess they're doing like a crossover thing. My acquaintances, Art and Franco, are doing a Archie meets Batman 66 comic book series, I don't know if it's a trade or it's a comic book series. I have to look it up, but they announced it this week. So
nice.
My question is why?
Why not?
Yeah,
it'd be fun. That's
Archie.
Fun.
Jeff? Did you ever read Archie Meets the Punisher?
I did not, but I heard it's actually really, really good.
I have it here. It is a very good story.
I will tell you, and in fairness, Ivan, Archie, God bless Riverdale. It has helped put Archie back on the spotlight, even if Riverdale's way over the top and not even close to what you remember as a kid. That show has so much buzz with the right age ranges, and it gets watched like crazy on Netflix. That show is a lot of fun, and if you're not watching Riverdale, which is based on the Archie characters, you're missing out.
Because the last time I saw Archie was Archie's Weird Stories when DIC had the contract to do the animation for Archie. You remember that?
Live. We're talking a live CW. We're talking a live show. It's now
this is something I haven't watched, so obviously I'm going to have to.
Well, I'll tell you right now, it's Archie meets pretty much David Lynch. It's darker. It's really dark.
Huh?
It's dark. It's crazy, but it's fun. Once you get past the part where it's not your 90210 version of Archie, pretty good.
All right, well, I'll just have to go ahead and watch it then, because I get CW.
Yep. Yeah, now that Krypton is over, I've got Cobra Kai in the queue, so I figure once I get a few episodes in, I'll have my thoughts on Cobra Kai.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the first 2 episodes are free from YouTube. Is that correct? Is that how that works? Because otherwise I heard it's a pay service you get the first season.
I won't pay for YouTube, but I have a friend who has the means.
Okay.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yeah, I got a buddy. I got a guy.
I got a guy.
I got a guy. Yeah, that's kind of the headache sometimes. It's like, oh, there's this. It's like, yeah, I don't want to get hooked.
Yeah, I'm not paying for YouTube.
Yeah, no, I kind of feel the same way yet.
So,
I got a smart TV, I should use it.
What?
I says, I got a smart TV and I should use it to watch some of this stuff that you guys are talking about.
Well, dumb user of smart television.
Just watch what you want, Ivan. Not
right.
No one's forcing you to do anything.
I want to be a little bit more informed on some of these subjects. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
There's certain shows I don't know. Like you mentioned Arrested Development. I haven't seen it. And I know Jason Bateman. I know that people like that show, but I've never seen it. I'm sure there's shows that I mean, off the top of my head, there's something I'm sure Mike would sit there and could name off, and I'd be like, oh, I haven't seen that either. Like, for example, I take that back. I did see a couple episodes of Game of Thrones. It just wasn't for me. I wasn't all that thrilled with it, but
I couldn't get into it.
I still want to dedicate myself to the time sink of all these seasons. It's foreboding to get into it now.
It's funny you say that because I was ready to make the commitment to watch it, and I said to people who watched that, I'm like, like when I watch Flash, when you watch something like The Flash on CW, there's episodes where you're like, you could skip this episode, and this episode, and you could totally catch up. And when I said this to friends who watched Game of Thrones, were like, oh no, you can't miss anything. I'm like, oh come on, there has to be some episodes I can miss.
It's like The Sopranos. You gotta be all in. You gotta watch every episode because even it punctuates the episodes where nothing happens. And then when stuff really does go down and people start getting whacked, it makes it all worthwhile of saying, oh, okay. This is like real life, pretty much.
I guess. I mean, like I said, the other part is too with HBO, and this is where you're gonna kind of laugh. With HBO, it's a full hour, unlike some of these shows that are network shows when you're binging them, and you're like, oh, really? It's only about 40-45 minutes because of the commercial time. With HBO, it's a full dead-on hour. It's like, okay, there's no, none of that in there. Yeah. Hey, Ivan, I want to get your take on something. Although I'm curious, this may be get off my lawn for you. I guess it's out there that they're looking at someone's looking to do a Marvin Gaye biopic, and guess who it is?
Who?
Dr. Dre.
Okay.
I know you're pissed about that. I had a feeling.
Okay, look. All right. Number one, okay, I know there's a series out there. They call it, Unsung, and of course they've been reviewing a lot of different bands and a lot of different vocalists and such and putting that type of situation out there. And I've never been a big fan of biopics because most of the time it's more fluff than fact. I saw the biopic on James Brown, and I saw the rushes for the one they did on Jimi Hendrix, which didn't interest me, none in the least. Now, if you're going to do Marvin Gaye, all right, and Dr. Dre, okay, I think he can pull it off. I mean, it's just like Kev Moe did, Chuck Berry and Cadillac Records, and he pulled it off, and he was a convincing.
He's not playing Marvin. He's not playing Marvin Gaye. He's producing it.
Oh, Dr. Dre is just okay. He's behind the scenes, putting behind it.
Yeah.
Oh well, okay, all right. But
do we have an actor who is going to portray him yet?
No, they do not have that. I can see listed.
Okay, well, if Dr. Dre,
because it sounds like the way you phrased it, it sounds like he's going to be it. So I'm like, okay.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, here's what I'm thinking. Okay, yeah, if Dr. Dre is going to produce this, I'm hoping several different points take place. One, okay, get the facts. Okay. Two, research the situation thoroughly. Three, if you're going to have people become part of this story, okay, balance the story out where we don't have so much emphasis on, the tragedies and all the downfalls and the drug use and everything. Every movie has done that, okay? Some more than others. Something, okay, if you're going to celebrate a man and his music, celebrate the man and his music, okay?
Well,
because
here's the interesting part. There are, I thought the most, because keep in mind, Dre was a big part of the Straight Outta Compton movie. I don't know.
Right.
Did you see it?
I've seen some of it. I didn't see it completely, but Dre, like Ice-T and all the rest of those guys.
You mean Ice Cube?
And Ice Cube. Yeah, you get these guys, that this is part of their fiber, for growing up, and they heard this music and they're close enough to it. And, I'm not saying that they can't do a good job. I'm sure they can do a good job. I'm just saying that I hope that this isn't going to be just another Hollywood puffery treatment of an iconic artist who went through a lot. Feuds with Berry Gordy and Norman Whitfield toward the end of the 1960s and 70s, which came up with some of the most landmark music that anybody has ever heard. You listen to the album Hear My Dear, and it's about what happened with his divorce from Gwen Gordy. It's so iconic, and it's such a statement, and I just hope that if Dr. Dre is going to present this to the world, I hope he does it with a sense of integrity and a sense of respect that it deserves. Because, let's face it, many of the movies about musicians and such, the fictionalization of certain things, sometimes just the additional things that never even took place, just for entertainment value. You know what? If Dr. Dre is going to do this, he's got some big shoes to fill because, Marvin Gaye did a great number of things. We talked about Cher earlier, about her being the iconic diva and front and center. Well, Marvin Gaye was an institution about music, soul music. From being a drummer in his early days to, believe it or not, here's a fact for you. He was one of the members of the Moonglows. Okay, when Harvey Fuqua, before he went to Motown, he had gathered up a group with Marvin Gaye that was in it. He ended up being part of the new Moonglows for a little bit before he ended. But then what happened was that Fuqua ended up joining Motown, and then Marvin followed Harvey to Motown. I just hope that they bring all of that in. The fact that Marvin Gaye did some drumming on a lot of the iconic records at Motown, that he ended up being background voices for some of the acts on Motown before he found his own voice. The fact that he was not fond of, some of his hit records, that he had a bigger vision. He wanted to be like the next Nat King Cole. He wanted to be one of these stylized singers and everything, but of course, Barry being the person that he is, he groomed him for an entirely different path until the very end of the 60s when Holland Dozier and Howler left the label and Norman Whitfield came in, and here come the psychedelics and the heavy fuzz guitar and the bass lines, and then next thing you know, here comes music like What's Going On, make me want to holler in his Inner City Blues, and a number of all the great records that made a statement for Marvin Gaye.
Now, Ivan,
in the early 1970s.
Ivan, it sounds like you're going to be disappointed with this movie because you come from music at an angle where you would appreciate either a book or a documentary, and this is not what it's going to be. It sounds like just another spoon-fed Hollywood fluff piece for the masses.
I don't agree with that. If you saw Straight Outta Compton, were there some things that they hand waved that didn't get brought up? Were there some directions that didn't get mentioned? Were there some things that didn't get talked about? Yeah, but for the most part, it was pretty accurate. and it was a pretty good film. I mean, it was pretty.
Hey, no, I'm not disputing Straight Outta Compton, not at all.
But the point is that you look at somebody like Dr. Dre. I mean, this is a guy who basically, when he feels strongly enough. I mean, the guy pretty much walked away from Suge Knight with nothing. I mean, walked away, let him keep all the masters. At death row, and essentially opened up a new door and started from scratch all the way at the beginning. Okay, to a guy who, at the end of the day now, is a billionaire because, thanks to Beats. I mean, he's we all talk about the great big rap mogul. People talk about like Jay-Z, and they talk about Puffy and all that stuff.
They talk about Eazy-E, they talk about,
LL Cool J. Ivan. I'm talking about money. At the end of the day, nobody, unless something wacky happens, no one is ever going to get paid as a rap guy like freaking Dr. Dre did.
Look at what he did with the album The Chronic.
Well, I'm not talking about that, Ivan. We're talking about Beats. Beats by itself, what he built with the Beats brand and with all that stuff, with all that stuff. Apple went in and paid him, and they gave him billions. And now he's the first real rap billionaire. I mean, That's just amazing.
I mean, I'm not cracking on Dr. Dre's credentials. I'm just saying that if Dr. Dre is going to undertake something like doing a Marvin Gaye biopic, I'm just hoping that he treats it with the integrity that it deserves. That's all I'm asking. Because, after watching movies like Cadillac Records and, Lady Sings the Blues, Dreamgirls, and things of this ilk, and then you just sit there and you think to yourself, God, yes, I understand. Let's make it entertaining.
Yeah, I thought Cadillac Records was good, though. I liked Cadillac Records. I thought it was worthwhile.
Oh, boy.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, boy.
No, it was not. Okay? And I will tell you why. Cadillac Records.
But we only have 20 more minutes.
It's the biggest bunch of puffery that was ever put to celluloid.
Well, that's because people actually want to watch it and actually not fall asleep.
But the thing is, dude, is that again, this is what I'm talking about when you got Cadillac Records happening here. Yeah, you know what? I went in and I put down the what I was going to expect from it, and guess what? It was just what I thought it was going to be, a bunch of bullshit. Because nobody bothered to do any research on that movie. They created scenarios that did not even exist, let alone the fact that here it is, you got one chess brother when there were supposed to be two. Okay? They strictly on the blues artists, with with Chuck Berry being the rock artist. Where was Bo Diddley? Where were all the doo-wop groups? Where were all the jazz guys that made that label what it was? Okay? All right? The story that they went ahead, they tried to go ahead and put, Leonard Chess with Etta James. That's a bunch of shit because that did not happen. Okay? And the fact that this whole angle with Minnesota Fats was Etta James' father and all that other stuff was never substantiated. Okay? So I don't even know why that even became a premise in the film. And it just, like I said, I'm sorry. All right? Basically, if I had a reel of the film of Cadillac Records, it would have met with the end of my match. And I would have watched the bitch burn because you know what? The city of Chicago, I think Columbia College actually did a documentary on all the people that did not end up on Cadillac Records, and they did a much better job.
But again, you just said documentary. I mean, you gotta understand.
Not documentary. Yeah, they did a documentary, but I'm saying that the stuff that should have been in the movie was not in the movie. In fact, the movie in of itself is just so facetious on so many points. It upsets me. It upsets me.
So tell us what you really think about Cadillac Records, Ivan, please. Don't hold back. Please, be honest with us, my friend. We're friends here.
It's a bunch of bullshit.
Okay. Well, that's what I thought.
It was the biggest load of crap ever committed to film. The director should be fucking ashamed for doing such a lackluster, slapdash, crappy presentation.
Well, sometimes it's not up to the director. Sometimes the producers have a say in it, saying,
whoever was
we want to make an entertaining Hollywood film. That's why it was called Cadillac Records and not Chess.
Yeah, exactly. Cadillac Records, which all of that stuff about Cadillacs, okay, you know the only person that got a Cadillac out of Cadillac Records was Chuck Berry. Money never saw no Cadillacs in his lifetime. Little Walter never saw a Cadillac in his lifetime. Little Walter didn't even make his fucking royalties while he was there. Yeah. You know? And on top of the fact of the cooking of the books, and all the stuff that happened between Willie Dixon, who was kind of like the end-all, be-all in the studio, who kind of put a lot of those things together. Yeah, you know what? You know, that was the only dude in chess that actually made any real money, was Willie Dixon. Why? Because he wrote.
Okay.
He wrote, and his names are on so many of those songs.
Okay, Ivan, we can all agree that Cadillac Records was mostly fiction.
Ugh. I don't know. I thought it was kind of fact.
No.
Now you're just stirring the pot. Now you're just fanning the flames here.
Shit. Bullshit.
So, Jeff, got any funny stories before we head out? We're getting close to the 2-hour mark.
Yeah, we're getting close to that mark. Couple things of direction. Let's see. It looks as though the original founder of Glow, Steve Buss of the Lakers fame, and Mark Cuban are going to bring women's wrestling back to TV at the AXS TV network, which is Mark Cuban's network. So I don't know how soon this is happening, but that's kind of interesting. What else?
Soon enough.
Watch the ass.
Well, but in fairness, the WWE's got a lot of women's wrestling now, so you know that's not uncommon. Trying to think of what other stuff we can. There was something I was going to ask you, and then Ivan took me to left turn lane.
Sorry,
but that's okay. I don't know if you. Apparently, Jimmy Kimmel over the weekend played Ted Cruz in a one-on-one basketball game. And,
Ted Cruz won. Yeah.
And apparently, spoiler alert, well, by the time this airs, it won't matter. Yeah. Apparently, Ted Cruz beat Jimmy Kimmel 11-9. The game was supposed to go to 15, but they quit at 11 because it took too long.
Yeah, it was going on a bit too long. But at least they raised money for charity. Yeah. And you can have political discourse and a reasonable debate about it. Not just calling each other names and saying, well, yeah, so... Well, that's good. They raised money for charity, which was a good thing.
Well, that's good. Some good came out of that.
That's right.
Right.
Cadillac Records, where nothing good came out of that.
It's Cadillac Records, Ivan. Hey, if we're going to go see Cadillac Records this weekend, Ivan? I don't think so.
I will not.
Right. Cadillac Records.
I have to buy him a copy.
When did that movie come out?
Oh, God, it's been a while now.
It was like 2000?
I think it was in the 2000s somewhere.
You have to look that up.
That's okay. I'm sure I could get him the VH1 Temptations movie. He'd go nuts about that, too.
You just do that just to get me riled up, man.
Yes, he is. Stirring the pot.
I got a copy of it myself, and I sit there, and I just turn the sound down, and I make up my own dialogue. It's, you know, it's become the MST 3000 presentation in my house.
Okay. I'm sorry, we usually don't talk about politics, but I thought this was rather funny.
Okay.
I'm not sure where, but Donald Trump today decreed the 6th branch of the military. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States government plans on starting a space force. I'm sorry. The whole thing makes me sit there. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is just Did you hear about this, Mike? Or were you aware of this?
It's gonna be the biggest space force ever, believe me.
The best is they got him holding up the little. You know how he's got that book going hold up with his name signed on it and he knows it. He's got that going too. I mean, that's just here. Ready? It's not nearly enough for America to have an American presence in space. We must have American dominance in space. Very importantly, I am hereby directing the Department of Defense of the Pentagon to immediately begin the process of necessary to establish a space force as the sixth branch of the armed forces. That is a big statement. We are going to have the Air Force and we are going to have a space force, separate but equal. It's going to be something.
It's going to be something, all right.
I'm sure there are people at NASA going, what? What just happened? Wait, stop.
Well, I think the Department of Defense has had a hand in what's going on in outer space, at least in Earth orbit, for quite a long time. So this is kind of just making it official where we're going to have, like, space astronaut soldier men.
I'm sorry.
Troopers.
My favorite is I will tell you now that I put on my Facebook page the secret designs for the new Trump ship for the Space Force.
Yeah, okay.
For the new Trump ship. If you hold on, I might as well have fun with this. I will send it to you. Now I can't. Can I send it? Send it as a message. Let's see if we can do this. When you see it, the two of you are going to die of laughter. And my friends, they already have seen it. So there you go.
Will it be gold plated?
Hold on.
There you go. There's the secret ship that Space Force has created.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mega Maid will exist.
I guess old boy's going to clean up, isn't he?
Mega Maid will exist. I mean, the jokes have become the funny part. It's like somebody said to me, it's like, why? Somebody said, why is it going to happen? I'm like, well, maybe he thinks Thanos is coming for real. I don't know what else to say. I mean, what was the other one? It's like, oh, here, Trump must have heard about the movie and thought I was real. What's the other one? I threw this one out earlier. Space Force are making a small moon with a giant super laser with a hyperdrive.
That's right.
I think that Trump doesn't understand. If you have to build that means more union jobs, as Kevin Smith told us in Clerks. Although they could be contractors, so you never know.
That's right.
God, I can't believe it. It's like, didn't he? You know, the funny part is there's part of me where, like, it sounds cool, but you know it's going to be bad, and you know they're not going to do a good job with this because it's like, is it going to turn into like Star Wars or Star Trek, or is it going to be something bad? Like, is it going to be like?
It's going to be like Zap Brannigan on Futurama.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good example. Yeah. I was thinking the Starship Troopers people.
That's what I was talking about. Starship Troopers.
Would you like to know more? Or wait, what's a bad one? I don't know. When are we going through the Stargate? That should be the question.
Stargate?
Yeah, when are we going through the Stargate? Yeah, so there's that. Well, I think we can end on this one. You guys will get a kick out of this. Ladies and gentlemen, Republicans are finally running somebody that I might be able to vote for. Unfortunately, I'm not from that state, and I will not get an opportunity to vote for him. Because it's for the Nevada State Legislature. Ladies and gentlemen, running for the Nevada State Legislature, Dennis Hoff. Dennis Hoff? Ooh? Dennis Hoff, the owner of half a dozen legal brothels in the state of Nevada and the star of the HBO adult reality series Cat House.
Yep, he won the Republican primary.
For the state legislature, ousting a 3-term lawmaker.
I think that I did this as a threat, or not a threat, but just the fact that Nevada's looking to get rid of these brothels in Nevada. So he decided to run to save his livelihood, pretty much.
I don't want to get into a philosophical argument on this. I just, like I said, I thought it was kind of amusing.
Yeah. But, okay, well, best of luck to him, I guess. I don't know. Well, who knows?
So do you mean there's not going to be the best little whorehouse anywhere anytime soon?
Well, at the moment there is, and if he wins, obviously that'll help.
Gives a whole new meaning to the term poll results.
No. Oh. I guess the cat got our tongue. Got it. Hey, I can do that too. So.
I said I was worried about the next election.
Oh, yeah. Well, then in that case, we should start. Before we go any further, and before we extend ourselves too far.
Before we rise to the next occasion.
Yeah, this seems like a good time to get the hell out of here. Before.
What are you saying? We stiffed? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, wow.
That takes a lot of balls.
Well, if we had female listeners...
Oh, nuts. Okay, we gotta go.
We have listeners?
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
Well, if there are any listeners out there, we appreciate you listening, and we truly would appreciate your feedback. If you would like to send us an email, please email us at sotrtpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Twitter and Instagram at sotrtpodcast. We're on YouTube, of course. We're on the Facebook. So please check us out. Send us a like and a comment, of course, on that YouTube. We really, 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 really appreciate it if you would. And thank you so much for listening on behalf of Ivan.
Yes.
And Jeff.
Hello, goodbye, whatever.
You don't know why you say goodbye, I say hello.
See ya, everybody. Thanks for joining us today, and catch up with you next time on the Squares of the Round Table, folks. Take care.